else, if that's okay. And I think that says we are live. Okay, so morning everybody, and welcome to the board meeting on 18th of September. Just to remind you, this is being broadcast live on YouTube through Waverley's kind assistance, and it is also being recorded. So it's a meeting in public, which of course is slightly different from a public meeting, but hopefully those that want to participate, will do so in the sense that obviously we have the local liaison forum and also the ability for residents to submit questions. And in fact, there haven't been any questions for this board today. If there were, then we would provide written responses as well as giving the response at this meeting. So can I just make a sort of few opening comments. So first of all, just to let you know that Jonathan Foster Clark has joined the meeting. Jonathan is the director from Atkins, and they've been appointed as our lead consultant for the work. And we'll be hearing from Jonathan a little bit later. We've apologies for Colin Kemp, and Matt Furness is substituting for him. A couple of other housekeeping matters. Tamara Stone, who's been the officer supporting this, sadly is leaving the county next month. So we will let you know in due course who will replace her. Then Ben Fanning, who many of you will have dealt with in terms of the comms piece, has been appointed as the Programme Management Office Comms Manager. We'll no doubt touch upon communications during the course of the meeting, but although he will be working on other projects, Farnham will be his key programme. And hopefully that will enable us to make sure that we continue to have a sort of a shared comms programme, and indeed that we have a proactive one. So I just wanted to make a couple of opening comments. So I think today, we can reflect on the fact that we have made some genuine progress in getting to where we have in terms of hopefully the vision and the comms plan and everything else. Last week, some of us met to address the barriers issue in the town centre, and I think we were able to come up with a very sensible compromise on that. I know that there are cones at the moment that will be replaced with okras. I think they're called at the beginning of October, which hopefully will improve Chris can deal with that later, but that will improve the visuals without compromising safety, which of course is key. We will talk about the HGV issue, which is a very live and pertinent issue. But having said that, we will have the master plan completed at the end of this year, which was our target date, and we are still absolutely on course for doing that. You'll find at Appendix 7, and I apologise that wasn't included in the original papers, a timeline. I mean, that document it is important. It's a dynamic document, and clearly we will do all that we can collectively to not just to hit those timescales, but hopefully to accelerate them. But I think the key point here is that we must ensure that we have good public support for the improvements and changes that this board agrees to, and that we've started to get public engagement and public feedback, which is really very helpful. I mean, I recognise, as I'm sure all of you do, that there will be challenging decisions and frustrations as we move through this process. But I do believe that with the partnership working that we are now achieving with this board, that we will get through those. We must, and I'm sure that we will. We do need to make sure that the communications plan is the right one, and that we are regularly and clearly communicating with residents. I think part of the issue has been perhaps a lack of engagement in between these meetings. And we really do need to make sure that all of you know exactly what the position is, and so that can then be communicated out to residents. I would like to thank, though, the Farnham Herald, who have been fantastic in terms of giving us good coverage in terms of what the board is doing, and helping to spread that message, and indeed to giving us residents' feedback. So that's a really helpful part of the communications programme. I mean, I think it goes without saying that this is a complicated piece of work. I mean, it's addressing long-standing issues. You know, we're trying to deal with congestion, we're trying to deal with the climate issues and air pollution, along with active travel schemes that you know, the government and all of us are keen to promote where appropriate. We've got two major developments happening or about to happen in the town centre. You know, we want to ensure that we maintain and enhance Farnham as a world craft town. And I'll put in another plug for John Neal's video, which I looked at this morning, you know, which is brilliant. I mean, it really does bring to life all of that fantastic craft work that's happening, you know, within the town. But of course, we've got competing views from drivers, pedestrians, cyclists, residents, visitors, officers, consultants, and of course, politicians. And trying to get all of that into a collective view is a challenge for anybody. But I do believe, you know, if we continue to remain focused and true to the aims that this board set for itself when we established it, then I do believe that we will improve and enhance the town and the surrounding areas, you know, and that we will therefore discharge our responsibility to our residents, not just for now, but also for those future generations. So, as some others might say, you know, simples. I mean, we've got a big piece of work to do here, but you know, we are, and I think it's just I make those points really just to reflect the fact that, you know, we're some months into this now. You know, we've got to a point, I think, now where it's starting to come together. I would ask for tolerance from not necessarily members of this board, but for others that are closely following the work. I accept and understand their frustrations, but the best way for us to work through those is to do so collectively, and to continue to listen to residents and put out their proposals for their comment and review. So that was all I was intending to say. I don't know if anybody else wants to comment at this stage, or we will move on to the rest of the agenda. Okay, well, I think there'll be plenty of opportunity as we get the update. So the next item is item 3, which are the minutes of the last board meeting, which have been circulated. Did anybody pick up any inaccuracies on those? If not, unless anybody indicates otherwise, I'll assume that those are approved. Thank you. There were matters arising. All of those have been dealt with. I'm happy to go through them one by one if you wish, but some of those we will touch on in any event, but they have all been actioned. Okay, thank you. Item 4 is questions and queries. As I said, there have been no questions from the public, in which case we'll go to item 5, which is the vision document. And I'll hand over to Chris.
Thank you, Chair. Fiona, can you bring the slide up, please? Okay. Board members, what you've got in front of you is a request to note the revisions to the vision document. Since you last agreed it at the last meeting, we've put it through copy reading. We've made sure we've talked to partners. There's been slight revisions in there, but nothing that alters the key points. So there's been no variation on that. It is basically the wording, putting it into a bit of plain English and getting away from too much technical jargon. So that is the final document that we're asking you to note. You actually agreed it last time. The important bit is the vision brochure. We said we were going out to consult on this, and what we've now done is taken the vision document and put that into a brochure. And that is the document we are looking to consult with. So we are asking for your agreement on that. It's taken the words from the document itself, put it into a brochure, put some pictures in it, and made it more readable. In addition to that, we have a questionnaire. The questionnaire is very simple. We're really just asking residents, businesses, people of Farnham for 3 views. One is the vision right? And it's a 5 scale, strongly agree down to strongly disagree. And there is a free text box to make comment. We're also asking them about the 4 projects. Are these projects about right? And again, the same sort of mechanism, 5 tick boxes and a free text box. And then the themes in terms of getting improved air quality, connectivity, and so on. So they are lifts straight out of the vision document and the vision brochure. And we again asking them, have we got those right, with a free text box as well. The consultation process itself, we're looking to run. So we're asking you to note, we're asking you to note the questionnaire. It's still being finalised with partners. Both the brochure and the vision document partners have seen and are happy with. The questionnaire is still being developed. The consultation process itself, we are suggesting a 6-week period. That will start imminently, subject to you agreeing the brochure and agreeing the outline questionnaire, and run for 6 weeks. The process will be using the brochure either e-form or paper form. We will get press release, we'll get it on the websites of the 3 partner organisations, and over the next 6 weeks collate the results that we get back. The reason for 6 weeks is, and starting so quickly, is that we want to get this back to the next board meeting. Whilst the vision is going to be a fluid document, it's not going to be tablets of stone. Things will change. You know, who knows what's happening with COVID, but things will change. So it will be a fluid document, but we want to make sure that we are in the right area with this in terms of people's views. So we will report back the results of the consultation process to the next board meeting. Very tight time scale. We need that because obviously as we're producing the optimised infrastructure plan, the results that are coming back will also feed into that. And that's got to be finalised for your agreement by the end of this year. It will be the January board meeting that will come to. So that's why we're looking at such a constrained process. However, having said that, you know, with regard to Farnham, it's been consulted ad infinitum over the last 20 years. We really do not feel there will be new stuff coming out that hasn't been thought about, but we've got to allow for that. But we feel that we've actually pulled together in the vision document everything that people have been talking about. Not maybe the fine detail, but this is the broad approach, the broad strategy. So that will be the consultation process, obviously tying in very much with the LLFs. We've already been having discussions with the chairs of the LLF so that we can run some LLFs during the process as well. So obviously that's critical, and we've another meeting on that next week. The other area is style.
Okay, Chris, sorry, can we just pause there a minute and
sure.
We get onto style and just take some comments. Jeremy.
No problem.
Thank you very much indeed. Look, I think it's a fantastic document, and I'm really grateful to Chris for putting so much work into it. I I don't know whether it is too late at this moment to suggest any changes, and I'm absolutely not going to die in a ditch in this, because I think the substance of the document is there and I can see it ticks all the boxes. The actual vision statement itself, in one tiny respect, I think doesn't quite do justice to what everyone wants, which is it doesn't mention that we want the final result to look beautiful. And that is such a high priority to people in Farnham. It's in the rest of the document. It goes without saying that that's what we're going to be doing. But if it's not too late, and I understand if it is, I just wondered whether we could put the word attractive in there somewhere, deliver an attractive, well-integrated, future-focused, high-quality infrastructure. Anyway, it's just a last-minute thing, and I understand if it's not possible.
Chair, just on that, if it's the wish of the board to add the word attractive, that's not an issue. We've not obviously gone to print. We wouldn't preempt what the board's views were. It's a word that's quickly inserted, if that's the wish of the board. So deliver an attractive, well-integrated, future-focused and high-quality infrastructure solution. If the board wishes, that can be done, but I will leave it to you to determine.
Okay, well, I think we'll all be happy with that.
Definitely.
Wyatt, you've got something there in the chat. Do you want to raise that?
Yes, please, Tim. I'm not against consultation, don't get me wrong, but you said yourself that Farnham feels like it's been, consulted like mad over recent years. Is another consultation really our priority? I really think people will buy into this vision. Those that want to express any negative views will do so in any case. I'd rather see Chris and Paul and those resources getting on with the early projects, the quick wins, and indeed making sure we've got better communications on what we really have done. But I'd quite like to hear the voices or views of others on that.
Well, I think we'll come on to the quick wins and an update on where we are with those and so on. I think.
But we can't have everything, and if we can't have everything, is the consultation worth doing?
Chair, if it helps, the consultation is done by Ben. Will be leading on this with colleagues from Waverley and Farnham. The quick wins are being dealt with by Atkins. I understand what's been said and I understand the urgency. They are slightly separate. The only thing I would say is making a presumption that this is right might work against us further down the line, that, well, you've assumed that this is the case. I think it is a series of, but I think we need to just ask the question.
Yeah, I think that was always the intention, that we would do that. So I accept the point, Wyatt. But at the end of the day, this is setting the scene now for significant pieces of work over a period of time. So I think it's absolutely right that we test that and make sure that we've got this right. But Stephen Spence.
Thanks, Tim. Is the mic working okay? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Just to say on the attractive point, I completely agree, because the planters and the cones is a significant improvement, and it's being seen as that, and our political capital is rising in terms of having made that change. So thanks to everybody who made that happen. In terms of the consultation, I mean, I get what Wyatt's saying about wanting to push forward with quick wins, but I met a retailer this morning on Downing Street going through this and talking about Brightwells and so forth. And the level of understanding of the local liaison forum being there and being able to have input into it is not as high as I'd thought. And what she was saying was, can someone come and talk to me? That's what I want. I want to talk to somebody. So whatever mechanism we use for consultation, I think it is helpful to continue that community consultation to try and pull in as many people as possible. Because if you go onto the poisonous Farnham rants, they're still really negative about everything that's going on. I mean, it's a particularly negative forum in any event. But the more people that we can get understanding what we're trying to do, to come on board and to help with this, the better. So I do support further consultation, but I also support the quick wins, particularly the trucks. You'll be surprised to.
No, oh, you gave. We lost you, Stephen. There, yeah.
Drowned out by the noise.
Yeah, we'll come on to that. Yeah, I mean, I think, and the consultation, we need to use all forms of methods of communication. So including, perhaps having a table in the high streets and not just relying upon electronic forms of communication, because not everybody subscribes to those. So, okay, John Ward.
Thank you, Tim. Farnham Town Council for years and years and years, led by some very erudite and vociferous councillors, has complained and complained and complained that Surrey and Waverley dump things on them without comment and without asking them and without dear old consultation. That still is the theme, but we're softening it. And I think we need to do all we can to convince people that their opinion matters. I had to ask for a change in the foreword to the vision statement, where there was a phrase something like what we believe Farnham needs, or something, or what Farnham needs, which I thought was just harsh, because that is just the sort of thing local people don't want to hear. What they want to hear is, we really want your views and we want to comment. I think any form of communication we can have, and I say communication in its broadest sense, would be vital in Farnham. We need to convince people that it's their ideas that are going forward and not ideas that are coming down from on high, which is the current belief in many quarters, and possibly has been true in the past. We've got to convince them that this is a big change. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you, John. And this is a shared vision of the three local authorities. So that's a good start, but absolutely we need to get resident engagement on that. So, okay, Chris, do you want to carry on then in terms of?
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you, Chair. So the final bit is style. We need something that stamps. This is about, as we say, FIP, Farming Infrastructure Programme, which I know is still a mouthful, but it says what it does. But we need a cover sheet that we can use to go out to the public with documentation. So we've got consistent style that people will eventually recognise that this is all to do with the infrastructure programme. So on the vision brochure, we've got that sheet. But Fiona, can you go back up to the top of the slide pack, please? And we've got it there, and I'll just put it up. And we're wanting your views on it. I think we have had some views back. Say it's probably too sectoral with just the castle and the church on. But we'd like your views, because we do need to get something that is a consistent approach.
Okay, Chris, sorry, I apologise. I hadn't seen the hands up. I was just looking at the chat. So it's not having somebody sitting by my side helping me is often challenging. We had
got Councillor John and Councillor Paul.
Yeah. So John, Neil first, and then Paul follows. Thank you.
Can you go back, Fiona, please? Still, no. Up to the top of the slide pack. First sheet.
Okay. Can I go from here? Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to mention something on what Stephen said there about getting the message out to the community. One of the things we really want to do is put a leaflet out to all householders, talking about what we're doing here on the liaison. That's been a bit delayed over the summer. We drafted something about a month ago, actually. So I'm waiting for the project team to come back on that to us, and as soon as we can, we want to get that out. Chris, please. so that we can get on with the local liaison activity properly.
Okay, thank you. Paul follows.
Thank you, Tim. So yeah, just to say on consultation, I completely support where Stephen Spence and others are coming from on that, because I think that the issue is not that consultation is bad, it's that the wrong consultation type is bad. It's the type where we're telling people what we want back, and it's a one-way communication. So I do think that I know we're limited at the moment by the sorts of consultation we can do because of COVID, but there are other ways we could be using the electronic side of things to have a bit more of a two-way conversation than we've been having so far. So I do think we should be looking into some of the more social media aspects of it. Certainly Stephen Spencer's mentioned Farnham Rants, and there's going to be a core of people in that sort of bracket that no type of consultation is going to convince of anything really, but I do think that it's incumbent upon us to try as best we can. Thank you, Tim.
Yeah, no, I think we're all in absolute agreement on that. Okay, thank you. Then back to Chris.
Sorry, Fiona, can you just move the next slide, go up? It's a schematic. That's it. That's the one. So very simple. It does just show, it's a schematic showing the castle and the church. We've looked at numerous photographs. We just want to put something on the table. This is what we've got at the moment. If there are views coming from the board, we can relook at that. But I appreciate we need to sort the HGVs, we need to sort lots of other things, and this isn't about getting pretty pictures and things like that, but it is just about getting a consistency of approach so that people recognise that this is part of the process. So I don't want to get too hung up on it, but if we do want something like that, I just need the board to be happy with what we go forward with.
Okay, well, I think Chris, we won't try and redesign it or anything here. If there are any comments from anybody, then perhaps if you can feed those through, then they'll be taken on board. But I think we're now getting to a point, hopefully, where we've got the content is pretty much there, and the look and the feel is, and it will be good to get this sort of in principle signed off. Subject to any minor, further tweaks, which can be agreed with the comms team and the town council. So, is there anything anybody wants to, any major point anybody wants to raise, or are we happy that we take it forward on that basis? Can't see any objections. So, okay. So, I think Chris, unless there was anything else you wanted to raise here. No, there are 5 recommendations which effectively agree this document and to put this out for consultation. So with that slight caveat that if there's anything that minor changes people want to do, if they can let Chris know, and he'll take that through the system in the next few days. But ready, I think we can get on with this now and get it out there and get some feedback. So I'll assume, unless I hear to the contrary, that the 5 recommendations as per the paper are agreed. Thank you very much. In which case, the next item is the stakeholder strategy and communications plan. Chris, are you going to start this off?
I'm going to cover that one. Paula deal with that.
Paula's going to do it. Okay, thank you, Paula.
So I'm absolutely delighted that we have got a lovely summary executive of how we're going to deal with communications on the programme, which really is a true extract of the ethos of the bigger document that is our programme level document. So as part of, we are requesting the board to formally approve that executive summary as our public facing communications plan. And obviously we've got the more detailed document, which we've already got approvals for, to actually use to implement communications on the programme. So I'm happy to hear any further thoughts that there might be on the communications plan, but I think we're there with this one. So we're ready to begin to really engage and find those unified approaches to to the solutions we're looking for.
Okay, thank you, Paula. Any comments from anybody?
There's Councillor Follows and Councillor Ramsdale with hands up.
Yeah, okay. I'm not sure which order they went in, but we'll start with Paul and then Wyatt. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Yeah, sorry, just quickly, in terms of communication strategy, Paula, can you just quickly go into what may or may not change in regards to how we interact during any second wave of COVID, and if we are to the point that we can do some of these things in person, will the communication strategy in any way change, or will it just be the medium by which these things are delivered that will alter?
So we've planned already a number of face-to-face formal consultations throughout in our program. So the program that was attached to the annex will show different formal consultations throughout the life cycle of the program. We absolutely intend to hold those in person if we can. At the moment, the advice to professional services providers and consultants is that do absolutely everything you can via digital media. I am absolutely for promoting and letting different circles and communities know about what we're doing so that we can maximize output in terms of comments. However, obviously health and safety is first, and at the moment the advice is that if something can be done electronically, we should focus on that. Formal consultations will be we will follow the due processes. We will do letter drop-offs, and we will organize them in a very inclusive manner so people from all communities can attend. So disabled people, people with families, ensuring that we use suitable venues, all of that will be organized. The first round of that type of consultation, I imagine, will be in January, February, when we've had the options, the optimized infrastructure plan. After that, we are very keen to hear people's comments. So we will be going to those hopefully in person consultations. Paul.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Paula. Wyatt.
Thank you, Tim. I spent some time reading the one-page summary of our communications plan, and I was rather hoping it was something we could share with other people. But to me, at least 2/3 of it is pure boilerplate. It could apply to any project anywhere. What I was hoping was something that looked at the specifics of the issues in Farnham in terms of communication and said, just what are we going to do? I've been a massive critic of what we've done to date. You know, we've had different people firing off and doing their own stuff, and the centralised stuff just doesn't seem to get in anywhere. We've got good relationship now with the Farnham Herald. We should be having something that almost promises to them and says to them what they can expect, how often and how much detail. And our members of the public know that. So to me, you can write out 4, 5, 6 and 7. They're just general waffle that could have come from a consultant's cut and paste book. We should be putting in there something specific that, you know, every week or every 2 weeks, there'll be a detailed press release, a detailed release on social media, setting out what we recognise that people are asking for, what's planned in the future, what obstacles we've identified that we need to get round. So therefore, why it is that maybe the steel barriers that were in Farnham didn't come down quite so quickly. Why it is that the HGV ban that Stephen at least has been pressing for quite vocally for months hasn't yet happened. But those explanations have got to be out there. That page doesn't say we're going to do that, and that page has got to, otherwise it's not worth bothering with. So right now, you can have that page if you want it, but I'll ignore it because it's not worth tuppence. I want something tangible and specific as to what we're going to do to communicate to people. Thank you, Tim.
Well, I think this document is intended to provide a framework rather than a specific communications plan. I mean, that is something that Ben will work up in collaboration with the teams in the Town Council and at Waverley Borough Council. I think what I would caution against, you know, making commitments to do things that we can't then perhaps deliver on. I mean, it's absolutely right that we do communicate, and I mentioned that earlier, that you know, we do that regularly and we do it clearly. But you know, what we shouldn't be doing is making announcements that you know, that we then can't follow through. So I think the work of this board, we need to make sure that as we are, that the decisions that are taken here are communicated out. The engagement piece through the consultation of the vision document, you know, we need to get that feedback from it. But I think you know, with all respect, just simply committing to putting out messages every 2 weeks isn't necessarily what we need to do, in my view. We just need to make sure that the key decisions are communicated. You know, we do need to address, and we will address in a minute, the issues of the HGVs and what work is happening on that. So I accept that, you know, sitting underneath, let's say, this framework will be a communications plan. But I don't think it would be appropriate in this document at this stage to give that sort of detailed commitment that you're asking. But that isn't in any sense disagreeing with what you're, you know, what the theme of what you're, or the point that you're making.
And I want to reassure Wyatt that absolutely what the background, the full document that we've produced is enabling all of the supply chain to apply that framework and principle that Tim's mentioned to do exactly what you've described. If we go and write the full detail of every element inside that document, then that'll be 100 pages long. So we've put the principles in, and what we are going to do through the LLF initially we use the LLF sessions to engage at program level about the overall suggestions and the vision, and then once we have more option and detail to discuss, then we will hold in person, and we've built those into our program. So there are individual actions and items for each one of those, for each of those projects in our program document at the moment.
Yeah, let's take a couple of other comments. Andy.
You're on mute, Councillor.
Are you there? I can't see you on the screen. So yeah,
that's sorry, I did click it and then it didn't seem to work. Can you hear me now, Tim? Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I was trying to say I do agree with some of what Wyatt is saying. And there had been a bit of a communications problem in that the general public are conflating the problems that are happening with the gas main replacement and the routine roadworks that happen every August by Surrey with this project. And I think that's a communication point that we need to get across, that this project is not running the gas main business, and it's not running the normal routine roadworks, and the public doesn't quite understand that. So we have failed a little bit to get that across, but we shouldn't be using this project to communicate all that stuff, that is actually routine stuff and stuff that Surrey deals with in other ways and normally deals with quite effectively. But at the moment it's too much being conflated with this project, and we need to make it clear. And I do personally, when I do get complaints, as we all do, about what's happening, but I make it absolutely clear to people that this project does not include the gas main replacement. This project does not include the work done on the A31. And it's unfortunate that these things have happened at the same time as this project. And people do understand that if you explain it to them. Hey, the other point I'd make is that at a pre-meeting, or an LLF pre-meeting, John Neal brought up the point that what we're doing here is communicating with Farnham people, and therefore we should be centralising as much of the communications through Farnham as we can. And when the Town Council's office open up again, that the communications people should be coming to Farnham as often as possible to mix with the other councillors, and mixed with the fact to be able to talk directly to the Herald and all the communication strategies. And I think that's a valid point, that it should be centred in Farnham as much as possible. So the other points I wanted to make, Tim. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Andy. Okay, so I think we're kind of all with you in that we need to have good quality, regular communications. This document might not set that out at the level of detail that you're talking about, but it's it's an engagement structure and plan. So I think you know, I would hope that as far as the board's concerned, it gives some comfort that you know, that there is a process here. There is a structure around comms. As you say, some of it is boilerplate, but that's inevitable, isn't it? Because there are only a number of ways in which you can communicate and engage with residents. You know, we do have a good supporter in the Farnham Herald, and as Paul says, you know, if we don't start telling people what's going on, they'll be on our backs, quite rightly so too. So I think you know, unless anybody has major reservations about this, I would hope that we would agree this document. You know, Ben almost certainly will be working up a more detailed comms plan that sits underneath it as we move forward.
Tim, there's a comment from Ian Lynch around putting some materials up around Farnham. He suggested some of the empty shops, but I would suggest that we need smaller, more concentrated hubs. For example, a board at the station and around other areas where you get lots of footfall. That could be a really good idea, and we've done that on several other schemes, and we've had quite a positive response.
Well,
and the QR system. I mean, at the moment, we've only got the vision document in public domain, or we will have. So usually we do this a bit further down the line, but I just like the idea. I think it's an effective idea that I just wanted to share.
Yeah, and I think, you know, that's an excellent suggestion. And I think, you know, so Ben's role here is you know, and he's confirmed he's very happy to come to Farnham regularly, as we all are. But you know, that his role is to coordinate the comms across, say, the town council, the borough council, and the county council, and to use whatever means we can to get these messages out. So I think that we kind of will have a regular updates anyway from him, and you know, we'll all be keeping a close eye on this. So, but it's not really appropriate, I don't think, at this board at this stage, to try and itemize kind of week by week how we're going to, you know, how we're going to get out there and what we're going to be saying. So hopefully, while, you know, absolutely take your point on board, and you know, and that's supported by a number of others. But let's agree this document today, and then, you know, we'll take it forward on the more detailed communications outside of this meeting. So on that note, I can't see any other comments. So I think there were 2 recommendations on the paper. Can I assume those are agreed? Can't see any objections, so thank you very much. And so we'll then move on to the progress update, which is really what I'm sure everybody is interested to hear. So back to you, Chris, I think.
Thank you, Chair. Next slide, please, Fiona. Thank you. I have to get all my boxes out of the way. Don't intend to talk about the vision document, the stakeholder comms plans, the consultation, because obviously we've just discussed those, but just to confirm that we have had more stakeholder consultations. I'll come on to one of those in a minute with Crest Nicholson and Brightwells. But we're also getting emails from public interest groups. We're getting emails from individuals, which is fantastic. And that's what we want, because just going back to the point that you made, Chair, earlier, we do want to know what people's thoughts are. We're not saying we can take everything on board. But, you know, I'd be the first to admit I am not the font of all knowledge, particularly all knowledge within Farnham, and I wouldn't even attempt to say that. So we do need all this information coming back, so we do get the best possible outcome from it. Obviously, from a technical point of view, there are limitations. Probably come on to those when we talk about the HGVs. But yes, we want all that information. We have had consultations with adjacent projects. We've talked to Brightwells. The good news there is the board will recall you agreed that we talked to Crest Nicholson with a view to some of the works that they were doing, delaying, so it could be incorporated into the overall scheme, and we didn't have any works that were then abortive works further down the line. I'm pleased to say we've had a very positive response from them, and in principle they totally agree. However, it's like anything else, the devil will be in the detail, because whilst we are talking to them about not doing some of those works, we are also, but what we're not saying is that means that you don't have to pay for those works. And that will be the detail that we need to agree. So at the moment, we're preparing a proposal, having put our outline thoughts to them, a detailed proposal, how that will affect the Section 278 agreement. This is all being done in conjunction with Waverley. They are the planning authority, it's their agreement. Notwithstanding that the county obviously agree the 278 agreement. So it's a good bit of partnership working, and it's looking really positive, is that. However, the two principles we are adopting is the setting of Brightwells has to be right. We don't want it looking, bearing in mind the issues we've recently had with the COVID works, we do not want it looking as though it's still stuck in the middle of a building site. And importantly, the connectivity is there with the rest of the town. So those are the two principles we are still working on. So some of the work will go ahead to accommodate those two principles. We hopefully will be in a position to get some agreement on that and let the board know. I am hoping for the next meeting, because Crest are looking to do the works early in the new year. So good discussion, good debate with them, and that's looking very positive. Some work we are looking to do, another acronym, Local Cycling Walking Improvement Programme, or Plan, should I say, LSWIPs. We are doing a number of these around the county. We obviously need to do one for Farnham to encourage active travel, and that is something we are looking as another piece of work with Atkins, in addition to the work that I'm going to come on to down below. Air quality funding, a number of people, thank you. Again, there's so many initiatives come out of the government, sometimes you're never too sure that everybody's picked them up. There is an air quality funding note. I have to say, we have to be a bit careful about chasing these funding streams. They can backfire on us, and I will give an update on the active COVID-2 bid that we gave. Candidly, this is 2 million is my understanding across the country. The bid, if we're doing anything, is 5,000 to 10,000. You know, seriously, the time involved in looking at these. However, having said that, we are working with Waverley, and if there is money there, we will look for the money. But we've got to make sure all of this ties together and we're not going off at a tangent and chasing the money. There could be a problem with just looking and chasing the money, but we are looking at it. So we're aware of it, and we are looking at it. We have already commissioned a couple of projects with Atkins. Project 1, and I'll come on to that in a minute. Big one on that is HGV study, but that's the quick wins. So there are more than just the HGV study. There's 20 mile per hour. There are a number of other issues there that we need to work with. And, you know, taking Wyatt's comments, these are things we are very concerned about. We are not about just producing glossy brochures. We are about getting work on the ground, but getting work on the ground that people, as much as possible, can agree to. I don't think we'll ever get total agreement, but that's the way life is. As long as people understand why we're looking to do what we're looking to do. We've also commissioned the optimised infrastructure plan, for want of a better word, the master plan, the infrastructure master plan, but not to confuse it with master plans that you normally undertake for the whole of an area, which includes buildings, it includes business and so on. This is about the transport side. So that's been commissioned. Obviously, we are reporting on that shortly. Well, I say shortly, it is shortly in timescale terms, beginning of the year. End of this year, it'll be at the January's meeting. Quick wins, HGV study. Just want to spend a bit of time on this, if I May Chair, and I'll come on to that on the next slide. So I'm not missing it. There's another slide all about HGV. And then we've prepared the timeline, and Paula will come on to that as well. Other little things that you're already aware of, we've appointed comms manager, Ben. We've also got the website up and running. So it's started, we will get the links, we will be talking to partners to make sure the links are there. So again, this will be available for the public. So number of things have moved on, but I am very conscious about things on the ground. If I could have the next slide, please. Fiona, the next slide, please. Never mind. I'll carry on with the HGV project. Part of the projects one. It is a major issue. I appreciate for Farnham. I had Councillor Ward email me the other day, asking, well, making suggestions about what could be done, which I totally agree with. But the comment that was there, that this seems to have eluded highway engineers over the years. And the comment I made, I don't often make promises unless I know that I can deliver on them. And the promise I have made is that it won't elude us this time. So Atkins have been commissioned. They are reviewing the surveys. We have the iTransport data, just for those that don't know. This was data that was updated only the other year as part of the Northbrook development in Hampshire. So we've got that. We have the Farnham ANPR surveys that we can get from the cameras. Atkins are looking at analysing any gaps, and we will do further. We've commissioned and we are ready to do further ANPR surveys, automatic number plate recognition. What we need to know is what's coming into Farnham legitimately, because they are delivering to businesses and going to destinations in Farnham, and what traffic does not need to be there, what HGVs do not need to be there. The only way we can do that is to see what's coming in and over a period what's going out and the delay in between. That gives us a good indication of what legitimately has a right to be there and what doesn't have a right. In terms of the HGVs that come along the A31, then and they reappear, they either at the Croxdale or they're at the Shepherd and Flock, then whichever way they're going, if they suddenly appear at the other side within, people might laugh, 5 or 10 minutes, probably longer than that, getting through the town centre, then there is a good chance they are just trundling through without any cause of any need to be there. We need to analyse that. They're the easy ones to get out. Very simple. Put an HGV ban on. The HGV ban has got to be on weight, on height, or on length. You cannot just put a blanket HGV. You can have a mix of all three, but you can't put a blanket HGV on. It is a statutory process, and without that statutory process, it's not enforceable. Without it being enforceable, basically, the police can't do anything about it. So we have to go through the process. In addition to looking at that, we'll also look what's coming down Castle Street. The worry there is what comes down and goes up Castle Street, if it's not going there, probably will end up at Upper Hale. And that's what we've got to be careful about, that we don't squeeze it in one place and it creates a problem elsewhere. Or if it does create a problem elsewhere, and Councillor Spence, I'm not suggesting this for a minute, if it does cause a problem elsewhere, it is manageable. So that work's ongoing. In addition to that, we're looking at sat-navs. Sorry.
No, sorry. Okay, yeah. So if you just finish this item on HGVs, because I've got a couple of speakers, but yeah, sorry,
yeah,
if you
fine.
go to that nav point.
I'll quickly do it, but in addition to looking at where the traffic's coming and going to, we're looking at sat-navs. There is a feeling that sat-navs, because of the classification of the road, is taking people through the town centre. So we will be talking to the firms that develop the sat-navs, do the mapping and so on. But first of all, find out, is that the case? Is that what's happening? Anecdotally, we think it is. In addition, we'll be looking at the M3 and looking, does that Do they come off early? Is it the sat-navs bringing them off early? So all of that will be running through at the same time. The intention, the work started, the intention is to have a report back in mid-October to the programme board that you chair, Tim, and that will then be discussed. That will be finalised at the end of October and will come to the board in November. That will be the options that we've got, the recommendations that we can make. Then we've got the process of actually looking to implement the work subject to your agreement through the normal statutory process. In the meantime, we are looking at variable message signs because we have put an advisory HGV ban on, and we're looking at the variable message signs on the A31 far more prominent to try and clear out what extraneous traffic there is. Something like COVID works, social distancing in Farnham, not suitable for through HGV traffic, something along those lines. But by November meeting, we will have a recommended options, way forward that the board can discuss, and then we can take it from there. Once we've got that, we can actually pursue that. And we can make the case to the police that this is what's needed and this is why we're doing it. One of the issues before is we've never made the case properly. So the intention is to make the case properly. Chair, if there's anything else, more than happy to take any questions.
Okay, lovely. Thanks, Chris. Okay, let's take a few comments, and starting with John Neal.
Thank you, Chair. My comment was pre the HGV slides, actually. I just wondered if we'd got any feedback on the electric bus scheme, Chris.
No, we haven't, John, sorry. Yes, that was one we should have. We haven't, I did ask the question. You've reminded me, they didn't come back to me, but I'm assuming no news means we haven't got any, but I will chase. And if we, as soon as we hear, I will circulate it round board members to let them know.
Thank you.
Jeremy.
Thanks very much, Tim. First of all, really appreciate the work you're doing on the HGV issue. Look, I know it's a very complicated issue, but I do very strongly support the representations that John Ward in particular has made to you on that issue. I think it is really important to solve it. But thank you for doing that. I just wanted to ask for some details, Chris. I see from the agenda that the optimised infrastructure plan is going to be completed by the 1st of January. And that is a really significant thing to have that written plan done. I mean, Farnham has never had a proper plan going forward 15 years put together like this. And so I do think that's a very exciting moment. I just wanted to ask you when you think that will be made available for the public, and what you're doing to make sure that absolutely key groups like the Chamber of Commerce, the Farnham Society, and those key stakeholders are going to be absolutely on board with it, because that is obviously going to be a big moment of truth when we have a written document. And then the final thing is whether the traffic plans and the traffic modelling will have been completed by then in order to inform that plan.
So your optimised infrastructure plan will give a number of options. It won't be something that says this is definitely what we're going to do. It will be multiple of schemes. What we're proposing to do, so we are talking to stakeholders now, and they are feeding their views in. What we are looking to do is to bring that to the board to say, is the board happy that this is in the right order? And after that, go back out and consult with the individual groups and businesses and start working some of these up. Some will be straightforward hits like 20 mile per hour, as I mentioned in the quick wins. There are things that we can be doing in between, so nothing stops just waiting for that. We will look to implement quick wins as well. But the intent was, unless it's the wish of the board otherwise, the intent was that would come back to the board first to make sure the board were content and happy with what was being suggested. and then we'd go out on a consultation on that.
The programme item, Jeremy, has got it in February 2021. So that gives a month for review by the board. And then hopefully after that, we'll do early consultations.
That sounds sensible. Thanks,
Yeah.
Paula.
And sorry, you mentioned about the modelling. Yes, we are doing the modelling. We've already commissioned for modelling for the town centre. Obviously, they're also working on the HGVs with Atkins. And we're looking at modelling on the A31 as well. So that modelling is going on. COVID, unfortunately, doesn't help, although anecdotally, I'm told that the traffic volumes in Surrey are already about just 7% below where they were pre-COVID, which actually is slightly worrying because people are not back in their offices yet. And I think what's happening is people are coming away from public transport and travelling around more in their own vehicles, which will give us an issue. It'll give Surrey an issue, but it could also give Farnham an issue if more car trips are being generated.
Okay. Yes, I mean, I think, Chris, that the document itself will have some positive proposals in there. I mean, it will be, there will be, I mean, it may be that this board has preferred options that it would want to consult on. But I mean, it's going to be a document that has got out of that we will have a long-term plan. Yeah. That is the intention. It's not just another. Yes. So to speak, consultation piece. Right.
No.
Okay. Probably time we let Stephen loose on HGVs.
There you go, Tim. I'm going to surprise you because I do acknowledge that we have made progress on HGVs, because coming from the time before this board, we're no longer taking a view that they can't be banned because they're delivering Amazon packages to the good burgers of Willow Way, which of course a 30-ton truck has never done, but that was an original view. We've moved past the position that we can't deal with them on A roads, which clearly we can deal with them on A roads. So again, we've made progress. And the fact that we're talking about Folly Hill, Upper Hale Road and the town centre, again, is good progress. So we're at a position now where essentially no one is disagreeing that the HGVs do need to be dealt with. And we're almost even accepting that it's the sat-navs that are taking them through the town and down the Upper Hale Road. And again, 3 years ago, that was hotly contested. In fact, the only concession I ever got was agreement to a travel survey, a traffic survey in relation to the Upper Hale Road, in order to see whether they were coming off the M3 because of the sat-navs. And of course they are, but that wasn't our original view. So I am happy with the progress made. Again, I don't want to cause you undue surprise, Tim. I'm very worried that you don't fall over. I am happy with the progress we've made and that there is agreement. The only ongoing concern I have is how long it takes. And I'll finish on this because once the planters and the cones went in the other day, bottom of Castle Street, I watched a giant double-story semi-trailer with cars on it trying to negotiate that corner yet again and nearly taking out the planters. So it is, as far as I'm concerned, a question of doing it as quickly as we can, because again, it's something, if we don't, the political capital and the support of the public is going to erode further, because with the COVID measures in place, it is impossible for them to move through quickly. And the sooner we can get them on other routes, the bypass, the M3, the A3, the A331, which is where they belong, the better. End of party political broadcast on behalf of me.
Well, yes, well, I'm sitting down, Stephen, so there's no risk of me falling over, but thank you. I absolutely endorse everything you have said there, because I think there needs to be a recognition, which there is, that you can't simply ban HGVs through the town centre. I mean, I think John Ward's suggestion which others have made, which is putting a weight ban on the HGVs, is a very sensible one. But as you would normally have said, you'd have made the point yourself, if you ban them through the borough, they will just displace them partly up to the Upper Hell Road and so on. So I think the work that Chris is doing, and on the timings, I mean, Atkins will have finished the work in October next month. We're not that far away from that. Then it's what the solution is. But certainly, I mean, the work on the sat navs and those sorts of things, the signage, we can get on with and are getting on with. But I mean, if there were one simple solution to this, then it would have happened. I'm sure it would have happened, historically, but and would be happening now. But I think it feels as if there's 4 or 5 different bits to this, and we've just got to get those right, using the data from the automatic number plate recognitions and so on, and then working with the sat nav companies, and then with the companies, the businesses themselves. Why would that car vehicle carrying cars, why would that have to go through the town centre? I mean, only to get back on the A31, in which case you shouldn't come on down that way in the first place. So I think that's we're going to have that data, which is absolutely going to support those arguments. And you and I and everybody else, I think, are absolutely focused on getting a solution as quickly as possible. So no pressure on Atkins. Jonathan's on this call, and I'm sure he's listening to that, and I'm quite sure that he'll be very pleased to give us a report next month.
So
I won't invite Chris to comment on that.
No, Jonathan knows. I spoke to Jonathan this morning about it. He knows the urgency and the need to get this done. In addition to the master plan, they are different teams, but they are talking to each other. Just as an aside, we haven't even given up on delivery. There are mechanisms such as freight consolidation centres, where your freight comes in, say, at the edge of town, and it's offloaded, and then it's taken in smaller vehicles, electric vehicles, cargo bikes, things like that. Because certainly running on the A31 is fairly flat. There's no problem with a cargo bike on there. So even that is being considered. We are not ignoring anything. So if we could get a completely vehicle-free Farnham High Street, the Borough, and West Street and East Street, that's what we are looking to do.
Okay, I think we'll move on from that, if that's okay. I'm slightly conscious of time now. We've got 20 minutes, and we've got the LLF updates on. Chris, was there anything else you wanted to raise at this point? Just
on the timeline, which Paul is going to do, and then just quickly touch on the COVID and the COVID-2 measures. I can do my COVID bit, and then Paula can just do her bit, and you can move on to the next item, Chair. Yep. The COVID-2 bit is the footway the cycle link between North Farnham and the station. We put a bid in on that as part of the active travel COVID-2. I have to say, sorry, Jeremy, on this, but as per usual, we were given 4 weeks, which created issues within the town with some of the residents groups because we couldn't consult to put the bid in. We were told we would get a response back on that early September. We're now told it's going to be late September. So we had 4 weeks to pull a bid in. It created some tensions in the town, which I think civil servants need to understand this. And now we're apparently waiting. We don't know whether we're going to get the bid or not. But the update, the last bit's my gripe. The update is that we are still waiting for that bid. The key there is the detailed design has got to be done on it. It was just a schematic that to alleviate concerns that people have. Chair, unless there's any questions on that, Paula will do the timeline.
Yep, Paula, thank you.
Yeah, we've just got the optimised plan to quickly talk about first, if I may. I know we've covered it already, but I just wanted to, on the previous slide, please, Fiona, to just shed a bit of light about what the optimised infrastructure plan is about. So as it sort of says on the tin, it's an infrastructure plan and a master plan for to reach the objectives of our vision document. So it is optimized against the principles that we've set out in the vision document and agreed to those. This diagram here has been produced by Atkins as their proposals of the route to delivery of that optimized plan. As you can see, options generation P5 is en route to delivery as it's a key item that has been requested. And again, we've got an activity schedule, and what is included in each of these steps is if any board members would like to find out more about what we're doing to deliver this output. We're going to be working alongside the transport planning team as well as the comms team to make sure that everything that needs to be in here, particularly around active travel, the walking and cycling, but also around what are the cherished hubs of Farnham that we need to highlight in this infrastructure plan? What is the connectivity and access points that we so much desire to have, particularly around the station, around the shopping areas and Brightwells? All of that will be absorbed into this to make sure that it's a robust plan that and it's got credible options that deliver those objectives that we can then discuss when we come to sharing them with the communities in Farnham. So that's the extract of optimized plan. We can move on to the next slide, please, on the timeline. So for the optimized plan, we asked Atkins to provide a timeline of activities, which I will come to shortly. But I just wanted to say that we have been working very hard in the background to create a robust, detailed program for how we're going to deliver this complex, major piece of infrastructure. And that you have in Annex A of the submission, you have an extract summary of that. And we are still working to put further detail behind these items. Again, if anybody is interested, I'm very happy to share the full program. But as the program timeline develops, we will be sharing and agreeing with the board on all of the key milestones that we need to meet within the program. That includes things like consultation, includes the route we will take for business case. It includes around optioneering and how we direct our business case to actually decide what's an investable option in the future. It is absolutely vital for us all to realize that the active travel and mobility side of things is a key factor that we need to attend to and succeed with. Electric and public transport as another piece that we need to succeed with throughout this process. So I will be issuing updates of that program with at every board meeting ongoing. Next slide shows the detailed program for the optimized infrastructure plan. We thought that we would put that up because it's obviously a big want and it's a hot topic at the moment. Again, this is absorbed into the overall program that you have a copy of in Annex A. This just described in more detail the previous slide we had on route to December 2020. And the next slide. It's back to you, Chris, for the active travel.
No, I've dealt with that.
Yeah, it's important to mention at this point that we've got active DFT are in the process of setting up a new a group called the Active Travel England, and there's going to be all sorts of new budgets around e-bikes, around permanent measures on active travel, and we will be working very closely with DFT and Transport for the South East to understand the strategy for that and make sure that Farnham is an exemplary town and one of the first to excel at delivery of this mobility solution as part of the optimized plan.
Excellent. Okay, thank you, Paula.
No worries. Back to you.
If you could just circulate those slides to the board. I don't think everybody would have seen those on the program board. That would be helpful. Okay, so I think that just gives us time to cover off the last item, which is an update from the local liaison forum. And Andy, as the co-chair, I think you were going to do that for us.
Thank you, Tim. Yes, I'd just like to give a quick report on how the LLF meeting, the public launch of the LLF on the 5th of August went. That was actually the second LLF meeting. John chaired an internal one for councillors, but this was the public one. And overall, well, I have to say it went well. I've had very good feedback and others have as well. It was very well and positively reported in the Herald. And I think I have to say that the reason it went well was because it was done well. It's the sort of thing that could easily have gone wrong, but it was well planned. The logistics were very well handled by the town council, Ian and his team. They made sure we got a good audience, approximately 200 people registered. It was also broadcast on YouTube. And in that sense, that went well done, the town council. But everybody who took part contributed. I mean, the core presentation was from Chris and Paul. Paula, not Paula. I've had very good feedback on that, and Chris in particular has been congratulated to me by how he dealt with the questions, a whole range of difficult questions. But not only that, core session went well, even the presentations from the MP and the council leaders were congratulated. They showed commitment to the whole thing. They created an atmosphere that we're all working together. And as I said at the beginning of the meeting, that was one of our main objectives. Our objectives for this meeting was to explain what the LLF was all about, to explain what the programme was all about, and to create, as far as we can, an atmosphere of goodwill towards the project. And I think we've gone a fair way towards that. After the core session, Wyatt ran a session with the support from a couple of our younger councillors, which is a good idea, Paula Dunsmore and Dan Hunt, really talking about how we're going to take the LLF forward. There was a very good question and answer session, actually. And the question and answer thing via the online facility worked surprisingly well. And people like Paul Follows and Stephen weighed in, and Tom Horwood as well, and others engaging with the public on this question. That wasn't particularly planned, but it just seemed to spontaneously happen extremely well. And we were able to give Paul and Stephen an opportunity to say something as well. They were the only members of the board, the council members who weren't speakers. So overall, I'm pleased with the whole thing, and I think it went well. The thing we need to guard against now is the danger of loss of momentum. This happened in early August. We're now halfway through September. And at the town council meeting last night, we were asked questions about how we're going to take this forward. And of course, we're going to do that. We've already discussed the consultation that the project team is going to manage. It's up now to John and Wyatt and myself to set up further meetings of the LLF, and we're going to be doing that. So that's all I want to say at the moment, Tim. I'm pleased with how it's going. I'm pleased how it's went, and I think the feedback overall has been positive. Thank you, Tim.
Excellent. Thank you, Andy, and thank you all very much for making it such a positive experience for everybody. I think it was, having seen the notes, it was really.
Can I say one final thing, Tim, which I didn't mean to admit? Could we give a thanks to Colin Kemp, in that Colin turned up for this meeting, as you were away, when he wasn't feeling particularly well, but as usual, he did a very good job. And I was very unhappy to hear that he's had a further setback with his health. So I would certainly, I think we should all be sending a good wishes to Colin. Colin's a very important guy in this project, and the sooner he gets better, the best. But he did an excellent job on the night as a substitute for you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'll pass on your best wishes. I'm seeing him this afternoon. He's still in hospital. Whilst he's until he's back to sort of being fighting fit, I'll pick up his workload in relation to the project board as well. But yeah, no, it was a very good start, and I know that the LLF are working hard, and Colin was very pleased to be able to be part of that. Okay. I can't see anything, any hands up or anything else. So we're on to any other business, item 9. Does anybody have any other business? I haven't been notified of anything, but does anybody wants to raise? No? Okay. In which case, the next meeting of this board will be Friday the 20th of November at 10 a.m, which you should already hopefully have in your diary. The project board will meet in between times, and we will obviously, you know, with the provide as many updates in between times to board members, you know, and particularly on the work on the HGV ban or redirection, or however you want to term it, because I think that is, you know, after the barriers in the town centre, the HGVs is probably the single hottest topic that we need to get resolved. So we'll have an interim report on that. Other than that, thank you all very much. You know, I think we've made some good progress, and we'll see when the vision statement goes out to residents. We'll see what they think about it. Hopefully, we'll have at least got yeah, we'll get some positive comments, I'm sure, and I hope. But thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tim.
Thanks, Tim. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks very
Bye.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. I think it's excellent.